Money went from being a signifier of wealth to being... No. Okay? No. You guys have to bear with me here, right? I'm trying to tell you a story. And it's too hard to explain this whole fucking story to you. I can't give you a history lesson, on the origins of the crash of 29, and then the Bretton Woods system after World War II, and then the causes and reasons for World War II in the first place, then the Bretton Woods system, and then all of the shit that happened. But more or less, I want to explain it to you this way. Right? Let me explain it to you this way. Let me go ahead and explain it to you this way. We're going to do some paint. We're going to do some Microsoft Paint. I'm going to explain it to you very simply. It's so simple, right? Before capitalism, okay? It's like this, right? CMC. Money is, you start with a commodity, you gain money to get more commodities, right? It's all about, it ends with some kind of commodity, right? Supposedly. This is what Marx, this is not really true, but it's a simplification, right? Capitalism. The fuck happened? Capitalism. Money, commodity, money. More money, right? Socialism. Okay, I'm going to explain these. So before capitalism, you start with the commodity, you put it into, you sell it for some money, right? And then you use that money to purchase more commodities, and you just have more shit and more wealth. Like I think that's what Marx and Engels were thinking, right? It's just the accumulation of things. It's the accumulation of things that is the source of power in the pre-capitalist economy, right? Now with capitalism, you have money, you use the money to invest into commodities, and it's money prime. You get more fucking money, right? So what is socialism? How does this become sublated in socialism? Socialism does not put an end to MCM prime. MCM is not abolished, but sublated and de-essentialized. Sublated and de-essentialized. What does that mean? MCM does not become the ends of production. MCM does not become the ends, but the moment of production. Does this make sense to you? So MCM, the pursuit of money for money's sake, right, doesn't become the ends of production, but a moment of production. MCM becomes an indication if you are being profitable, and therefore if your enterprise is efficient, or if your enterprise is ultimately sustainable, right? But it becomes a category of planning, because your enterprise no longer exists for MCM. If MCM alone is what defined the longevity or the purpose of enterprises, why is it then when these fucking companies go bankrupt and they fuck this up, MCM, they're not able to be profitable, they're still able to be propped up by banks or by loans or by some kind of printing of government credit, right? Government money to be distributed into the economy. Because the purpose of production, the ultimate purpose of production is political and social. I should say social first and then political. Social and political. It's about the purpose of production. There's a really big Western bias where Westerners care a lot about procedure, right? So they want to say if the procedure is not socialist, it's not socialist, right? That's why they say China isn't socialist, because the procedure is the private market economy, right? But the outcome is social, right? But they don't care about the outcome, they care about the procedure. It's the same politically. Now, with China, the procedure for how these decisions are made is not really democratic. But the outcome is democratic. It's the same fucking pathology. So, how does MCM work? Abstract forms, there is no socialist equivalent to MCM or CMC, because the object of social production cannot be formalized as a variable. This object is rather, this is going to not make any fucking sense to you guys, aesthetical, ideological perhaps, aesthetical, ideological, and then what else? Yeah, those both work, aesthetical and ideological. Ideological And I feel like it's not enough. Aesthetical, ideological, and what's the word I'm fucking looking for? No, transcendental. Transcendental is what I was looking for. You want me to give you an example of this? The Marvel Cinematic Universe, or Disney. What's the reason for the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Is it just to generate profits? Does it exist to generate profits? Don't underestimate it. The Marvel Cinematic Universe, there's so much fucking merchandise. There's so much fucking commodities, right? So many chains of production and supply chains are being cohered around the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Or think about the fucking iPhone. Let's say this was an iPhone. This is an iPhone. It needs this amount of resources, and this is what goes into it. How many fucking supply chains and chains of production are organized around the desire for the iPhone? What comes first, the chicken or the egg? Is it because of this intangible, aesthetical desire for the iPhone? And by aesthetical, I mean for whatever cultural or unconscious or ideological, whatever reason people want iPhones, they want them. Is it that people want iPhones because material reality positions it in such a way that it makes it aesthetically desirable? Or does the aesthetic desire for the iPhone make material reality itself? Which one comes first? Does that make sense, guys? Think about the iPhone. What comes first? Do people want iPhones because of material reality? Or does the want of the iPhone itself change the material reality? After all, think about all of the supply chains that are organized around the production of the iPhone. The want changed material reality? No, the opposite can be said to be true as well. The opposite can also be said to be true. The want is also produced by material reality. The want itself is material. There's something material about the want itself. Well, this is where you can't fall into the trap of one-sidedness. Both are in a sense true. Both are in a sense true. It's both. It's actually both at the same time. That is what material reality's relationship to desire is. But if we're materialists, we know that the material reality is primary, which means the want of the iPhone does not produce the want of the iPhone, more or less, right? So that's just one example, the iPhone. Now, think about how... Now, I just used an example of one I don't even like calling... Is the iPhone a commodity in Marx's sense of the word? Do you really think the iPhone is just a commodity in Marx's sense of the word? No, it's fucking not. It's a symbol. It's a brand. It's a sublime object of ideology. It's not some kind of fucking... It's not just a commodity, right? Like a fucking sack of potatoes. It's qualitatively different than that, right? Now, zoom out from the fucking iPhone and think about this at the level of the culture industry. How much do things like, not just, but things like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, beyond determining our purchase of goods, like merchandise and stuff, how much does that play a role in defining the types of goods we buy on a day-to-day basis? And how we actually make sense of our world and how we position ourselves within this world? Well, let me put it this way. Why don't you just go to the example of communism? Isn't the motivation, the ideological promise of the shining, radiant communist future a pretty important factor in determining people's motivations and habits and behavior and so on in the ex-communist states? Under communism, isn't what's kind of driving people along the promise of this radiant communist future? So this kind of has a material effect at the level of the forces of production, doesn't it? This has a material effect at the level of the forces of production. The same is true. I'm speaking generally in terms of ideology, right? The same is true for Marvel, right? In our society. Or if not Marvel, then it can be something else. Some kind of dream-like vision. You know, in China, Xi Jinping has initiated the era of the Chinese dream because our mode of production has become very dream-like. We need these dreams to continue the process of production along. Who's Elon Musk? Who is this guy? What's Tesla? What's SpaceX? What's all this shit? Elon Musk is not a marginal force. Billions and billions and maybe even trillions, I don't know, probably not trillions, just billions, right, of dollars are being moved. Livelihoods are being defined, right, taken away or brought up solely on the basis of what this fucking guy tweets. Elon Musk is promising the dream of going to Mars, isn't he? He's a dream seller. Exactly. Precisely, he's a dream seller. Isn't that what Disney is? Isn't that what Apple is? They're all dream sellers. Every fucking major company you know of is a dream seller. They are promising you a big, bold future through them. No company simply confines itself anymore to just being, hey, you know, we just make toilets. That's all. I mean, some do, but they're being swallowed up by Amazon. Now, Amazon's making the toilets, right? Or at least, Amazon's making those fucking toilets now, right? So, every single company is promising you the dream of communism now, right? This ultimate dream that's fucking cohering all the chains of production and the supply chains of production. McDonald's is the fucking holy savior of your life now. McDonald's is your lifesaver. McDonald's is your Lord and Savior. It's not just about fucking selling hamburgers anymore. It's about selling you a dream for ultimately and radically changing the future. Black Lives Matter. Right? Social change. Trans lives matter. Social change. Now the thing is, I'm speaking about these companies, McDonald's, all of them in isolation. But they're all acting in cohort. They're all acting in tandem. All of the corporations are acting in tandem, more or less. That's how it works in China too, by the way. Every single corporation in China, every single company, the Communist Party has a seat at that company. So every single company is towing the party line. And the party line gets executed through these companies, right? The same thing is happening in America and every other fucking country in the world. Except we don't have communist parties that are accountable to the people. We have deep states and oligarchies that we don't even know about. I'm not saying markets have disappeared. I'm not saying profit has disappeared. I'm just saying those have become epicycles of a much bigger mode of production. The mode of production is no longer based on those things. They've become subsumed. Yes, they've become subsumed.